Welcome back, land and water enthusiasts. Today we're going to be exploring different ways of making compost bins. We're going to start with a pallet compost bin. So let's get started. Most people know the value of compost. It enriches soil with microorganisms that help create a healthy soil food web. Composting is essential for anyone who is concerned with the pollution from garbage and from those who are seeking to find ways to use resources that are wasted and thrown away. There are multiple ways of composting. In this video, we made a compost bin out of pallets that we found for free on the side of the road. We used cable ties to attach the pallets together, but screws could also be used instead. I found it much easier to put a bin together with cable ties because sometimes it can be difficult to find places to screw the pallets together that it is accessible. Cable ties can be looped around the pallets easily on all sides, and then when your compost is finished, you can easily cut the cable ties on the front pallet to open up the compost bin and remove the compost. Then reattach the front pallet to the compost bin with new cable ties when you're finished, removing the compost, and the bin is now ready to fill again. We chose to build our compost bin by our other compost bins. There was a grass plant growing there, so first we had to remove the plant, which we will use in the compost bin as our beginning sponge material. Next, we placed the pallets in a square with the sides with the most boards on them facing in so that we have more structure to hold the composting material. A few slats were missing, so we found a scrap of wood, measured it, then cut it to fit the space of the missing slats. Then we used screws to screw them into the pallet. Once the pallets were set up, we cable tied each corner at the top and the bottom. The ground was not level, so we added a couple pieces of scrap wood under the back pallet and sides to make the bin level. We then cut the extra cable tie off so it's not in the way. Normally, we would dig a shallow basin inside the compost bin before attaching the pallets together. That way, if there's any liquid seepage from the compost, it will just leak down into the basin and not out of the sides of the compost bin, making a mess. But this compost bin had a large plant in the place where we wanted to put the compost, so the roots of the plants as they die should be able to absorb any liquids. We then put all the grass cuttings into the bin to create a 12-inch organic sponge material to get our compost ready to add organic material to. Our compost bin is now ready to be used. As we add food scraps to our compost, we push the cover material back to expose the center of the compost and dump the food scraps in. Then we use a cover material like grass clippings, leaves, shredded paper, straw, or wood chips to cover the food scraps. Pretty much any dry organic matter we have in abundance or have easy access to, we use as a cover material. The cover material is key to keeping the compost free of unpleasant odors and flies. If you have problems with critters, you can also put a piece of wood or other material over the top of the compost bin to keep them out. Once the compost is filled, leave it for a few months and you will see it start to decompose down. Check it every so often. You can use it once it looks brown and uniform like soil. This is a static composting method and doesn't require turning, so it does take longer, but it takes less work. When you notice your bin is almost full, build a new compost bin to start using once the old one is filled. Eventually, you will have enough bins that when you are emptying one, you're about to ready to start to fill a new one. It all depends on how much material you have to compost and your climate. Compost is great to use anywhere from growing beds to gardens to flower beds and food forests. Many resources are thrown away that could be very beneficial to your land. See what resources you find that are being thrown away on your property and give it new life. We hope you found this helpful and that it will give you ideas of how you can make a compost bin so that you can turn your scraps of food into a resource. Until next time, happy composting.